Hey, vinyl community, as you know, this is a very exciting week for Beatle fans because the Let It Be Super Deluxe sets are getting released on Friday, October 15th. As you saw from my unboxing video yesterday, the Get Back full color coffee table book is also released this week. But in lead up to the release of the Super Deluxe editions of Let It Be, I wanted to set everybody straight on the true narrative of the Get Back / Let It Be sessions. There's been a lot of books written about it, a lot of documentaries, there's a Let It Be film, but nobody has ever truly told the real story behind the Get Back project. And so I thought I would do that very briefly today. For those of you who maybe are not as familiar with the story, or maybe you are familiar with the incorrect narrative that has been fed to everybody over all these years, but I wanted to provide everybody just kind of a thumbnail sketch, basically, of the story behind the Get Back sessions, which led to the Let It Be film, and now, 50 years later, the Peter Jackson film Get Back. So here we go. After the tumultuous sessions for the White Album in the fall of 1968, during which the Beatles broke up at least 17 times, the Beatles decided they were going to break up for good in 1969. Rather than break up quietly, the Beatles decided to film a television documentary of themselves breaking up while recording one final album. They brought in Michael Lindsay Hogg, who had just recently directed their promo videos for Hey Jude and Revolution, during which the Beatles broke up at least 5 times during the filming. The Beatles convened in Twickenham Studios on January 2nd and began recording songs for their eventual breakup, although none of the Beatles could exactly agree on where they would break up. Paul wanted to break up at a Roman amphitheater, John wanted to break up in an Arabian desert as the sun came up, George wanted to break up in the Himalayan mountains, but Ringo preferred to break up somewhere closer to home. After a few days of indecision and sloppy rehearsals, George became frustrated and left the Beatles. After a Beatle meeting at Ringo's house, George agreed to return to the Beatles as long as the Beatles dropped the idea of breaking up overseas. The Beatles agreed to leave Twickenham Studios and relocate to their Apple office studio at Savile Row to finish breaking up there. After rehearsals for a few additional weeks, the Beatles agreed to break up on the rooftop of their Apple office building at lunchtime on January 30th. Because of the noise, the police were called and the Beatles were nearly arrested. The Beatles agreed to finish the album they were working on and then a subsequent album, which became Abbey Road. The tapes of the Beatles' breakup were given to Glyn Johns to produce an album out of. However, the Beatles were dissatisfied with the finished product and rejected it. Eventually, Phil Spector was brought in to break up the Beatles, which he did successfully in 1970. And that is the story of Let It Be.